for joining us. We have a very special guest today on this series we host from the British Council Library. Indu Dharmasena hardly requires an introduction, but let me attempt to say some very brief words to give you an inkling into the depth of his personality, and also some insight into where our conversation may go. Indu is a playwright, an actor, a dramatist, a director, a producer, an artist, a photographer, and a philanthropist. And above all, a wonderful, compassionate human being who has over the years very generously shared his talent and expertise and nurtured the love of theatre and drama in generations of young and old. Indu Dharmasena and theatre and drama is so synonymous that what many people may not know is that Indu's former training was as a mathematician, his interest in drama being an extracurricular one. Indu, I better stop talking about you and talk to you because we all want to hear what you have to say. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us today, and it is such a pleasure to host you. I'm sorry, it is such a pleasure to host you.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. Before we begin, we would love to hear from you. So please put your questions and comments on the chat, and we will take them up as we go along. Indu, shall we begin at the beginning? So I want to talk about your early years before we get into anything else. How did you get into acting and theatre and loving it so much?
Well, I suppose drama will always be my first love. My parents actually produced a movie, and that's where I got interested in, well, drama as such. And I think a lot has to do with Mrs. Yolanda Bebida, because I actually consider her my guru. And also the teachers who were in charge of our Sinhala drama, because they are the ones who initially encouraged me to write plays, because I wrote a little skit for a end of year production. And from that time onwards, for the, Sinhala Kala Ulala and all of that, they always used to tell me to write a little playlet. So that's how I started. I must have been about 12 when I wrote my first play. And from then on, actually, some of my big productions I wrote as fundraisers for my alma mater, St. Bridget's, for their PPA.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and then actually the first production I did at the Lionel Vent was for St. Teresa's Youth Club as a fundraiser.
And that was an English play or a Sinhala play?
Sorry, you're a little faint.
Sorry, was it an English play or a Sinhala play?
Well, it was actually an adaptation of Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew in Sinhala. Well, the few of my first productions were Sinhalese, but then later on it became, and I had a couple of Georgette that I adapted, which were totally English, but based in Sri Lanka. Then later on, I started my own style, which is Singlish.
Yes, I want to talk about that a little bit later on. Yes, I want to talk about the English plays. Yes.
Yeah. So I have of the 65 plays I've written, I think I have about 4 which are in Sinhala, and the rest are English, or the Tomiyas are basically Singlish.
Yes, thank goodness they were Singlish. But we'll get to that. And so And also, I want you to talk about some of your early productions. Like, what was the first time you were on stage? What play were you first time on stage in?
Well, I think I was one of the children in King and I. Uh,
Okay.
then later on, I played the king in King and I, even though I can't sing. Luckily, he doesn't have much to sing.
That's right. Yes, when you can get away with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Uh, and then there was Three to Get Married. Those were for the drama competition in school. Um, Mrs. Abevir actually didn't encourage us to take part in the Shakespeare competition, unfortunately, when we were in school. Well, I wouldn't say unfortunately, because I also don't, even though I had been judging the Royal Shakespeare
hmm,
drama competition, I myself feel really bad to say some group of children who have been working very hard, you are not good enough or whatever. Because anyway, drama is a subjective thing. Uh, so I actually prefer a festival rather than a
yeah,
competition when it comes to
I know
drama.
that is a very hard. That is a real battleground. At least I remember it being
Yes,
a real battleground.
yes,
It made careers and it broke careers, I think.
yeah,
But yeah, a festival is a wonderful idea, and I think a couple of years now they've had something like a festival,
yeah,
which is which is um, which is also something else I want to talk to you about Shakespeare and all of that.
yeah,
But do you mind if I went on to your playwriting?
yeah.
Because because you said you have 65 plays, which is no mean achievement. Where do you
Well,
find the
actually, the reason why I have 65 plays is not because uh, I wanted to write 65 plays. Invariably, what used to happen is there used to be like Rotary clubs, Lion clubs, and various associations that wanted me to do fundraisers. I mean, do a production as a fundraiser. So, and one of the requests have always been, can you write a new play, please? It's easier to sell the tickets also when it's a new production. So, so that actually that was the reason that made me keep writing new plays practically every year, at least two or three.
I don't know where you found the time though, because you were working full time. You were running an estate. You were doing 100 things. You were helping out your friends. I don't know where you found the time. And
Well,
and
it's something you enjoy. I always feel if it's something you like, you enjoy, uh, you always perform. I mean, you give your best. Even with kids, I always tell even uh, my family, like encourage them to do what they like to do.
yes,
You know,
yeah.
so as a result, uh, I think it's something I enjoyed. It was not like, oh my God, I have to sit and write this. It wasn't like that.
And
And
I'm
I
going to, sorry.
uh, and I used to observe everyone.
Yes, I was just going to say, I'm going to tell the audience about a very naughty thing you used to do. If you met Indu Dharmasena anywhere, you should run and hide because Indu sits quietly and observes you. And then you go to the theater and then you can see yourself on stage very often. I don't know how many, of course, you have to, I don't know how many people recognize themselves because you have to keep your ego at home a little bit to be able to go and sort of see yourself and find it.
Yeah, actually, sometimes it used to. The thing is this: I most of my characters used to be a combination of a few people, not just. I never based it on one person. And one thing that I have always done is uh, even if it's someone that I may not personally like, even I would never actually say make them look bad.
Yes, you
You
were
know,
never a playwright. I must say, you have never been, and I mean, I'm familiar with a lot of your work, and you have never been unkind, but you have really brought out the sort of inanity, shall we say, of some people's idiosyncrasies. And
yeah,
it was, I mean, it was very, there was a lot of humor. Yeah,
yeah.
but
Because
yeah.
I actually think most of our problems could be solved if we could laugh at ourselves. A lot of people find it very difficult. They laugh at others, but they can't laugh at themselves. So what used to fascinate me is like sometimes maybe a character is based on partly on a person, and that person, my imagine that I can't even think that people do things like that or behave like this. This is saying, yeah, you do.
I don't know if you really hate me after this show, but but I'm just going back to my script that I had jotted down some questions for you.
Okay.
Um, where else do you get inspiration from for your plots? Especially, I know that you drew from Georgette here, and I know you adapted some of Shakespeare's plots.
Yeah.
But there were some other things that you just completely, they were yours. They came out of your head. So where did you get the inspiration for those
Well, sometimes it's actually listening to people and they tell me certain incidents that happened, which if I feel uh, like, uh, doable into a comedy, uh, because mainly I write comedies. Uh, it's basically like, and sometimes it could be not the full when sometimes when I say adaptation, it may be just one part of a plot that I have taken and worked on. And I must say the latter stages, Ray Cooney has been a big inspiration for me.
so farce and comedy, really.
Sorry.
Farce and comedy.
Yeah.
That's where you're okay. And you used to do pantomimes, Indu. Uh,
Yes.
I know because I remember November, December was pantomime time. That was always sort of something that you did for a pantomime. I
Yeah.
haven't. You haven't done one for a long time.
Yeah, actually, I haven't. Mainly because the last decade, I would say, getting a booking at the Lionel went also used to became a little difficult because there were so many people doing productions, which is good actually. I mean, when I started the late 80s, early 90s, I think there was a time when I may have been the only one doing anything at the line event,
Yeah. The
due
war
to the
was
situation in the country, actually. Uh, so, so unless you get there first and make your booking, it was difficult to get good dates. Uh, because when it's a pantomime, actually it has to be after the school exams are over, otherwise because it's mainly for kids as well.
yeah, yeah. Okay. And and you talked about other playwrights who have influenced you and that you have admired. But who especially? Is there a particular playwright that you go to, or is it just sort of it's mostly inspiration and it's just the genre of playwrights?
Yeah, actually, because I wouldn't say that there is one particular playwright or whatever. I mean, there are certain Shakespeare plays that I don't like too much.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah.
yeah, because yeah.
So yeah,
But you created your own genre, this Singlish,
yeah.
and that was such a hit. I don't think anybody had put on a Singlish play before that.
Well, I wouldn't say that because there were the Lanner roles,
Ah, okay.
ECB. I mean,
Yes.
but maybe not to the extent of. I mean, even though they use Sinhalese in their plays, it wasn't in the same manner that I have been
And you
using
used
it.
to pun on it a lot. You used to say some, used to pun on it a lot. I remember in your
Yeah,
script. Yeah.
yeah.
And how did
And
you,
sorry,
sorry? No, go on,
no,
Indu.
no,
Sorry.
you were saying.
No, I was going to ask you whether it's because you started writing scripts originally in Sinhalese that, you sort of came up with thinking about, the two languages and how you were, that was a hybrid in your plays.
No, no. It wasn't really that. It's just that Sinhalese as a language, it's easy to. I mean, in when you're writing in English, you need to be witty.
Okay.
But Sinhala, it's sometimes the way you say it.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
It's not. It's a beautiful language, and I'm sure the Sinhala authors must be cursing me, saying that I'm.
It's different. Yeah, absolutely. But what is the process, Indu? I mean, do you want to talk a little bit about how the playwriting process? Because I know there must be lots of young people out there who are budding playwrights, and I'm sure they'd like to hear from you. Your process and
It's
how you write.
basically, yeah, actually, when it comes to writing a play, I basically listen to people. Now, since I started doing my Singlish productions, even in advertising, now they use both languages. If you even on TV, radio ads, all of them they have Sinhala and English, Singlish kind of this. It's the way we do talk, and it's the way we communicate. So when it comes to writing a play, unless it's poetry or a novel or something like that, you don't have to have, uh, you know, uh, it's what you see, because sometimes even even in a very serious situation, so, haven't you like ended up getting the giggles because something has made you see a a funny side to the whole thing. So it's actually writing, and when it comes to a play, I think you need to know what you're writing about. Like,
Okay.
for example, people used to say, "Oh, you're being very frivolous." So I said, "Look, I live in Colombo, so it's the Colombo society that I know. So I can write about them because it's what I know.
Mm.
I can't uh, suddenly write about uh, uh, like a farmer or something like that. And I mean, I wouldn't unless I go and you know." Spend time there to figure out what they do.
Mm.
Otherwise, it's not a very natural interpretation, or a I don't know whether interpretation is a correct word, or a narrative that I would be giving.
And it's because your lens is covered your past, so you sort of exploit that aspect of
Yeah.
society.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I know I was criticized when I wrote Madai in Dubai, yeah, saying that I was laughing at the less fortunate. But that was not my intention. And if you really look into the script, you'll realize what I'm saying is you can go abroad, you can earn money, and but don't forget your roots, and try to do what you can, what you're used to, and go. Don't try to do things that other people are doing
Mm.
because it may be not correct.
Yeah.
Mother
And
in Colombo Gia, Mother
yeah,
Itomia Colombo Gia is a good example.
yeah, yeah. Yes, I think you should restage some of those plays because the messages in them are still relevant.
Of
So,
course, well, I
yeah.
would not that I'm trying to be like Shakespeare, but I mean, if you take any of his plays, yeah, those characters, they are eternal. I mean, they are actually they're human beings, and they're Maybe technology, fashion, all of those things might change, but the human behavior is the same.
Yeah, and we were writing about people of
Yeah,
sort of time. So, okay, we can move on to the Shakespeare now. I know that you direct and you've helped a lot of schools with Shakespeare productions for the
yeah,
drama competition and for the festival. And another problem I think with the drama comp was that you did only a small excerpt of it. So how
yeah,
did you give these school children who probably were not, familiar even with the entirety of the play, how did you give them context? How did you get them? Because they were very engaged. It was a wonderful thing that, take the competition part aside, it gave a lot of young people an opportunity to really, I mean, he's fabulous, right? I mean, the way Shakespeare writes, I mean,
yeah.
he's survived because he's fabulous. And so I was just wondering whether, Indu, have I lost you? I think Indu's screen has frozen. Oh, okay. It may be that Indu's area is having a power cut. So we may have to pick this up at a later time. If you will bear with me, we'll wait just a little bit to see whether Indu will come back on. Um, Shamil is handling tech as always, and I will wait to see whether he will tell me whether Indu is back on or not. Shamil, can we wait a bit and then you let me know? So I think we've been having sort of strange weather also these days. It's been thundering and there's been lightning. So just to sort of wait out and see whether Indu will come back on. I have had I've been on stage with Indu many times. Indu is a very old friend, and I've had the privilege of being directed by Indu. And I'm pretty familiar with quite a lot of Indu's style and writing and scripts. And I've also been part of Indu's team who helped the Shakespeare drama competition
Failure,
preparation.
electricity failure.
Indu, do we have you back? So I'm very keen for Indu to talk about that part of it because the preparation of children.
Can't hear you, Mrin.
Ah, you're back. How wonderful. I was just saying that you're an old friend and that I've been working with you on. Indu, can you hear me? Okay. So because yeah, all right. So I will continue talking. So just so that to get children interested, because I don't know how many people actually go back and read the entirety of a Shakespeare play. People think it's difficult. People think it's hard language. But it's so worth the effort because there's so much in there that you will carry for the rest of your life, that it's such an investment. It's like money in the bank. And honestly, I think that it's the drama competition and the drama festival was such a wonderful thing. I learned so much not being on stage, actually, by being backstage and learning how to sort of cope with all that part of it and watch a production and bring people into reloading. So to bring people into a production, into an excerpt of an entire play, uh, and having people be interested in characterization and interpretation, and why did he write this character like this, and how do we play these characters? So those are all things I would really like to have Indu talk to you about because there's so much experience and knowledge. Indu, I've been talking about Shakespeare Drama Comp and festivals and how you've been directing students. Can
Yes.
you, can you talk to us a bit about how you get students to engage? Because it's difficult. It's blank verse to begin with and language that is not very familiar, you
Well,
know?
I used to actually insist that either the English teacher, or if they don't have time, I used to get someone like, Nidbari Hettiarachi or later on Michelle Herf or someone to come. And I can't remember whether I have asked you also, Mrinali, at one point to come and explain, so that I have got them to go through the full play first. Then actually I used to get them. I mean, some of them are fluent in English, some aren't. In a situation like that, I just tell them, okay, I take even a passage or I mean, dialogue and tell them, okay, tell this in normal, I mean, modern
Okay.
English. Yeah.
Right.
Or if you find it difficult to tell me in English, tell me in even Sinhala or whatever. Some was Sinhalese, some were Tamil. Tell me, and I used to get someone to tell me whether the person is actually giving me the correct translation or in what. So,
Right.
because I firmly believe if you don't believe in what you're saying, your dialogue, well,
Yes.
just delivering lines doesn't make you an actor, or you
Correct.
can't give a gut performance, you know.
Yes. Yes. But I mean, so, and you were talking about them reading the entirety of the play, correct? Okay. Today is going to be one of those challenging days, I think. I don't know whether it's the weather or you'll have to bear with me. So, as Indu was saying, getting an actor to sort of inhabit the role, and I think recently that they had a festival, and Indu was commenting that it was very commendable that a lot of young people were very sort of, it was very well done and very well produced and acted. But what I wanted to talk with Indu about was that, this is something that we shouldn't let go easily. Don't wait for a competition, don't wait for a festival. At the British Council itself, we have movies, we have the Royal Shakespeare Company, we have the DVDs. I mean, these are things that, especially in these days when you're sort of locked in and locked down, wonderful things to explore because you learn so much about English history and your language capabilities. Really, honestly, there's nothing like watching a good production of a play to sort of really grow your vocabulary. So let me just see whether Indu is coming. Oh, okay.
I'm really sorry. The weather.
I don't know, Indu, you should have directed the weather a little bit better, with all the
I know.
done a better job with the weather.
Yes.
I mean, they created thunderstorms on stage and managed it very well. So, but so I don't know whether they still have a competition. But when was the last time you really directed the school in an English theatre production? Maybe not just Shakespeare. I think you do other playwrights as well, and other.
Well, I've directed and also acted in a couple of Lerner and Low, Camelot, my Fair Lady. Then did Fiddler on the Roof. I directed that for Visaka. Yeah, and I've done more production like Boyfriend and whatever for Gateway, Peter Pan.
I mean, like, do kids, a lot of children turn up for auditions and do they want to take part? Are they interested?
Well, I think some of them used to get really annoyed with me because I may be, if we are rehearsing for 2 months, practically 1 month, I have been doing auditions. The reason behind that is sometimes there are people who find it very difficult to read. But so what I have always done when I've been doing a production with a school, is actually get the script available, make the I have tried to get the script available at their library or with a teacher or whoever, so that they can read it, understand it. And I always tell them, okay, you audition for a role that you like. But
Right.
yeah, I always tell them that does not mean that you're going to get that particular role.
Yeah.
Practically everyone may be auditioning for the main role, or male lead or female lead or whatever. Girls schools have them all auditioning for the female lead. Boys schools will have be auditioning for the male lead. But I need to get familiar with what they are capable of as well, and I want them to be comfortable, because I always, and even when it comes to direction, I always tell them, I think you have acted in. I always, if I tell them to do something, I always ask, are you comfortable doing it?
Yes.
Because if
Yes.
you're not, because as an actor, I know there are certain things that if I'm not comfortable doing it, right up to that point, I'm nervous about having to do it later on in the production, that I don't give my 100% actually.
Okay. And so working with children, it must be a real challenge because
Sorry?
I said working with children to get all of these moving parts together must be a real challenge.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Uh,
do you also have, now, I mean, I know that when I was in school, there were some kids who really wanted to do the backstage stuff. They didn't want to be on stage. They wanted to be off stage. And I know, Indu, that you not only, I mean, you also direct, but you also do stagecraft and lights and all of that. And so do you give, I mean, do you train children up with on that side of it as
yes,
well?
of course. Because I
Yeah.
have always, I mean, there are so many people that I have trained as stage managers and to do lights. There are,
Yes. Yeah.
because even I learned uh, on the job, like,
Yeah.
trial and error. And but I have to say there was one of my friends, Sonali Chinadasa, her husband, Louis Tucker. He was here for a couple of years. They were in Sri Lanka. He has a master's in, I think now he has a PhD as well in theater. So actually, lighting and all I learned from him, because he came and did the lighting for one of my productions at the Lionel Event. So with
Okay. Yeah.
the Lionel went then technicians Rupa Singha and RK.
Yeah.
I was also listening, and I also picked up how to you know
Yeah. So
uh,
that, I mean,
design and how to
design
even
design stage sets and all that.
yeah,
Yeah, because yeah, it's I wanted you because this is also a wonderful thing to talk to you because you not only write the play, you direct the play, you act in the play, plus you know what goes on behind the scenes in I mean absolute detail. I mean you
yeah.
can any aspect of it. So can I also ask you what is it like to act and direct? I don't know how people do that because you never see yourself.
uh, yeah, maybe, yeah. See, right at the very beginning of my writing, directing, and acting in productions, uh, I think my uh, direction was also basically. I used to act now. When I write the play, I know what I want from a character. So I used to actually act it out and
Okay.
show, yeah, because mainly the people who acted with me were friends and family. So especially family, my cousins and all used to be petrified of me. So if I say, do it, so I used to actually act it out and tell them, and maybe go on at them until I was satisfied that they were doing delivering what I wanted from them. Then maybe 2 3 years into my doing productions, I think one of my aunts came backstage and said, "Oh, that was really nice. There were a lot of little Hindus on stage."
Oh,
That's when I thought, oh my God. From that point onwards, actually, I made a conscious uh, effort to actually get when we read through the play, I used to like talk about the character, and I used to tell them, okay, give me your interpretation. How do you see this happening? But of course, I always say, as the director, I'm the artist. I have the full picture. You're just putting one color into this whole thing.
I
So
remember that.
you remember? So, like, I don't want all greens or all blues or all reds. There has to be a mix of it. So, uh, let's work it out together. So it's through trial and error actually. I mean, because even though I used to sit in on drama lectures when I was in London, I never actually studied it as a subject. I did maths and economics for my degree. So, so uh, what I have uh, produced and done is through trial and error and pure experience.
You talked about university. Where did you go to university? Because I know that you were in England, and we're always very interested because we are the British Council, and we love to hear about people who have studied in Britain and what their experiences have been. So, can you
Well,
tell us about that?
yeah, I was at City of London,
Okay.
uh, and I did a modular degree actually. That's how I have the combination of maths with computer programming and economics. Now the computer science is on those days to get one of these little things that we do even on a phone. I used to write pages and pages.
And the computer probably occupied a room rather than a
Yeah,
small
yeah, I'm talking of the late 70s, early 80s, actually. Dates me. But
yeah. So, and what was your experience like? There's a little story I've heard it before from you, but it's about language again and how in different cultures. Because I know when I was in England, people look at me and say, "Renali, you talk an English that is like Jane Austen." It's a very
yeah,
old form of English because we still use some of the old words that in Britain they no longer sort of they've moved on. Language evolves.
yeah,
So, and different cultures also use different. I mean, I'm reading a book now, and I'm reading Hilary Mantel's book, and my goodness, that period and now.
yeah.
So, you used to tell a little story about a Scottish roommate you had.
Not roommate, actually. She was in my class.
Ah, okay.
Uh, yeah, Jean Patterson. So now the first week or so, like after lectures, they say, some of the others would say, "Shall we go and have a coffee or something?" I say, "No, I've got to go and get my messages." So I thought, okay, she must be. I mean, she was from Glasgow, so I think, okay, maybe she has to go. So this kept happening. I have to go and get my messages. Uh, so one day I asked Jean, what are these messages? Then she laughed and it's going marketing or doing my marketing. Uh,
That's so funny, because it's perhaps a completely another world. That's
and
I
then
think
well, pink. I heard my pinky, so I thought, is she being vulgar? Then I realized she's talking about the little finger. Anyway, that's a more common this thing. Can I have it in a pokey? Can I have it in a pokey? So, to see a paper, brown paper bag is called poke or pokey. There were so many things like that she used to say. Like right at the first year, I used to wonder what the hell is she talking about.
But I wonder whether students who go now, because at that time we didn't have so much social media, we didn't have so much television, we were not so exposed. It
Yeah,
would have been a whole wonderful new experience going to another country to study.
Yeah.
Uh, and even though you spoke English and you thought you knew English and you were so familiar with English when you went, then you find that this is another English. So I
Yeah.
wonder whether the students who go now also have similar experiences, cultural experiences. But
Actually, because of television, I don't think so.
maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah.
Maybe because I think they are more exposed to, uh, well, international whatever behavior or etiquette or whatever than we were those days.
I
Uh,
suppose. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
for us, as you said, it's like Jane Austen and Georgette here, and yeah,
Georgia here anymore, I don't think there's anybody who's sort of, because these books they're so old now, like Barbara Cartland's and I mean,
yeah,
I made a joke about a Mills and Bones recently and somebody said, what is that? I was like, okay. Oops.
yeah. I think they have something similar to that.
But much more sophisticated now, not as simple as those. The public chat just going to check the public chat because there's been a lot of messages. Oh, somebody wants to know what is your upcoming drama?
Well, at the
Yeah,
moment,
you're in the spot now.
sorry.
They put you in a spot. They want to know what your upcoming drama is.
Well, at the moment is COVID-19.
Are you going to write something about this? I think you should.
Well, it's very depressing and being not being in control of the situation, so to speak. But I write comedy, so I don't know whether I could actually laugh at something so. Uh, what can I say? It's something that none of us expected would. Well, last year, if we were told that we were going to be in this situation, I don't think any one of us would even believe that it was possible. So anyway, let's see. I always try to look at the bright side.
Somebody says, Indu Dharmasena, please tell me how to be an actor.
Well, observe people, because actually acting is basically when you're playing a role, you're putting yourself into somebody else's shoes. So uh, maybe that person, depending on whether it's a older character or a younger character or a eccentric character or whatever, I this is what I have always done. I try to see whether there is anybody in uh, that I know that would actually fit that character that I'm supposed to play. So from there, I actually try to play, you know, play the way that person. This is what I used to do at the early stages of my career. Later on, of course, I would actually develop my own.
But I want to know that who you used as your role model for King Arthur because when you were
Oh,
in
sorry.
Tamil,
I,
for King Arthur when
you're
you were
not
in
clear, Amrin.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, okay.
Who was your role model for King Arthur when you were in Camelot? Yeah, I just
Uh,
ah,
yes. Well, that I don't know because I actually that's one character that I really uh, loved playing. Uh, I don't know whether at the real King Arthur, it's a legend anyway, was anything like the character in Camelot, but it's somebody that I could really relate to. Maybe not the Guinevere part of it, but
no, but the
but
romantic and the sort of
no, so especially about like when he talks about when I was young, Merlin made me into a hawk, and when I was flying up in the sky and I looked down. There were no borders, but that's what we are fighting about, you know.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. So I hope that the person who asked how to be an
Well,
actor,
my wife might get angry, but no, the other thing is how to handle a woman. That's all.
yes, the song, yes, yes. Oh, and the beautiful lyrics. That's what I was saying when you had the power cut. That's what I was saying. That reading these plays and watching productions of these plays is like money in the bank because it gives you so much food for thought, and your vocabulary improves, and the way you use language, and
Yeah,
so much.
yeah.
Somebody wants to know whether you can discuss and organize programs for seniors. I don't know what kind of programs, but maybe if they will seniors. Well, we are seniors now, so don't look
Okay, okay.
surprised.
No, no. When you say seniors, is it seniors in a school or senior citizens like us?
I don't know. I'm assuming it's senior citizens like us. Maybe they'll write back to us at some point, and we can explore
I'm
that.
all, if anybody wants any help, they can
Hmm.
always contact me, and I'm always willing to help if it is something I can do.
Okay. So somebody
I
wants
mean,
to know.
sorry.
Somebody wants to know the differences of literary devices between fiction and drama. Do you want to tackle that one?
uh, Fiction and drama. So sometimes drama is also, is fiction. No? It depends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, unless is it wants to know about fast.
I don't know. It's a general question. I'm going to ask you the other one. They're asking what are the dramas in your Tommy series?
What
How
are the?
many? Yeah, how many Tommy plays did you have?
I think there's 11 or 12 now. I'm not sure. There's Madai. There are 13 apparently. My wife tells me she's my.
But your computer. Shame on you.
Yeah, no, she's actually like the wind beneath my wings at the moment, getting
So
everything sorted out for me.
somebody has actually challenged you saying, why not try your hand in another genre? Uh, in another genre altogether and create a serious drama about COVID-19.
Yeah, actually, that's what I meant when I said I don't know whether I want to write about COVID-19 because it's not. If I'm writing that, it'll have to be from for for myself, not as a fundraiser or something like that, because I think we've gone through enough uh, uh, with it to want to go and sit in a theater whenever we are. It's possible for us to go and sit in a theater and go through the trauma
Yeah.
over and over again. You know.
Well, it will be like one of those old Greek tragedies. It will be a cathartic process. It will help us, I think, eventually come to terms with what we're experiencing right now. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. So maybe it'll help in. Maybe it's something for you to sort of gestate in this
Yeah.
time of.
Actually, I was thinking Madai Tomia quarantine. Nuna.
Yes, why not? That would be,
But that's
yeah.
on a lighter way.
So you can do two. One for the serious people and one for the people who. I mean, I desperately need to laugh, and I'm sure a lot of people also need
Yeah.
to laugh right now because we really need that. What do you say to people who think that they have an inborn acting talent? I mean, I know when I was in school, there were girls who felt that they were born actresses. Uh,
The thing is, this mean I think I when I persuaded you to act also, when I insisted you came and joined our team or our productions, I think everyone can act. It's just that you are inhibited, you're shy. Once you break those barriers, anyone can act. But it's sometimes it's a little difficult because that's why I said, like, acting, to become an actor, you have to put yourself into somebody else's shoes. So for that, uh, to do that and understand somebody else, actually, now I know a lot of parents and all. I got it when I was younger. Mm, I don't know what the hell you're doing, getting on stage and prancing around. Like, take your books and study, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, uh, when you do the you get involved in a production, you get to understand people. There's a lot of uh, barriers that you break, because there may be people that you have problems liking at first, but at the end of the production you have become good friends. It's like your second family. So it for me it encourages a lot of harmony, and you know uh, it brings people together rather than like sometimes even sport can actually divide people.
Yeah, but here you can't compete. You have
No,
to work together.
yeah, that's why I said I really don't like competition in drama competition. I'd rather have a festival and, like, give people awards for good performances and stuff like that, rather than
Yeah, yeah. Maybe they hope, I mean, they continue because I think recently it has been more festival than a competition, I think. The Shakespeare
no, I
drama.
think it's still there. This year we couldn't have it, so I know Jahan Bastians and them organized that
Yeah,
distance Shakespeare, where I was a judge, and I
right.
was actually quite uh, impressed by what the schools and the children did.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, on an online platform, right? So
Yeah,
it's very hard. It's very
it
hard.
was on a Zoom this thing, like. So
And
we
many,
had problems like now my power going off, that kind of thing.
yeah, and it's a school children. So I mean,
Yeah.
that is the part. I'm going back to my question.
What
You
is the question?
The question about you directing, I know that you work with other English playwrights in Sri Lanka, other playwrights writing in English, and you've helped them stage their productions and you've directed them. What has that
Yeah.
experience been like? Because you have no control of the script, but you're working with somebody else's material. And having the playwright probably sitting next to you, so interfering with your direction maybe sometimes. So what has that experience been like?
Well, actually, I never had a problem. I mean, uh, even when I acted in a production where somebody else was directing it, and which actually I allowed with my cast also, unless I'm like really like set on a certain person character being insisting on my interpretation per se. I would actually say, look, I feel this person is not going to react in this manner. Can I just like try it out like this, so that I feel uh, rehearsals are there for you to try out and discuss and figure out how best you can do things. So
Yeah.
if it's somebody else's play, first and foremost, before we go in for even the getting casting or anything like that, I have discussions with the playwright,
Mm,
you know,
mm.
uh, uh, and we have to be on the same page when it comes to the script before we get going,
Yeah. Um, Many years ago, the British Council had its own auditorium and a little stage and a bit of a setup.
Yeah.
What are your memories of that?
Or a lot of good memories, because there was actually it was mainly during the time of Rex Baker
Yeah.
and Rudy Collins, and I think I played. I have played female roles only twice, I think, in my whole life. And one was where he did this presentation of poems and little skits and whatever called What is Love?
Oh, I remember that.
Yes. uh, then uh, I have done lights at the British Council for other productions. So, like, I think Senaka Aberatna's play, first set of plays were staged there. Manuka's productions were staged there. So, actually, the British Council also helped. I mean, I learned a lot from Rudy.
Right. Yeah.
And
I think they had theatre people who used to come regularly and conduct workshops and things like that
yeah,
with actors.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Even for the Shakespeare competition, they used to have the initial briefing and workshop for the teachers or the students who are actually directing the excerpts for the schools at the British Council.
okay. Yeah, because we do have a lot of wonderful resources. We still
Yeah,
have our Shakespeare Company recordings and all.
yeah,
The books to watch. Yeah. Yeah. Because
yeah,
all these famous actors, Ian
mm,
McKellen, people like that.
yeah.
So, um, yeah, I'm just checking my notes to see whether I covered everything we talked about. I would like to ask you, what can children do now if you're stuck at home and you can't get to the theater? Um, if they want to start writing, I know you told them to observe people, but if you're not going out much and you're not really sort of in that space, what can they do to entertain themselves? What did you
Well, they
do?
can write little plays and especially if there are brothers and family, they can perform for the parents.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, or even do online presentations, even video it. You can
yeah.
film it using your phone nowadays. I don't know whether the kids are given phones though.
But you could ask
Uh,
them to do it for you if you wanted, I suppose. Yes.
yeah,
I mean, yeah,
there are a lot of things they can do. Actually, you need to once you start doing it, writing a play is basically, for me, I put like two characters together, then I get them talking, and sometimes I don't know where they go, because actually there are times when I think San, my wife, will tell you, I say, I'm going to write this and this is what's going to happen. And sometimes then when I have a tendency of reading it out just to, for me also to hear it. And so they say, but I thought you said that. I said, no, but when they met, this is what happened. So if you get, I mean, kids can do that actually.
yes,
Even
yes. Because there are comments about COVID and writing plays about COVID, and I think maybe that's something that people should explore. You never know. Because there have been plagues before, and there have been people who wrote about them, and they
yeah,
become very, very famous books and various things, and we are
yeah,
still reading them. Yeah, so maybe this is a good opportunity to be
yes.
living in a hard time. Actually, we are part of history.
Because
Any active
sometimes you can even start drawing little things like, it can end up as a, I don't know,
comic?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. Any
Or
actors?
it can be one character that's attacking everyone.
Oh, yes,
Yes, and the vaccine can be like Spider-Man or something like that. I'm saying Spider-Man because Sam's little nephew is into
okay.
Spider-Man at the moment.
Any actors you admire, Indu, for
Um,
yourself?
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, if I start, that that might take
I'll take a little time.
yes.
Well, because I know that we lost Sean Connery, and I think that made like a
Oh
huge
yes.
for
Yeah.
a lot of people. That and when you were talking about Camelot and King Arthur, in a way, he really played that part so well. You know.
Hamlet, I think it was he played Arthur in the other one. I forget the name. In Camelot, it was Richard Harris who played.
Yeah,
But
but
Richard Burton has played the role on stage.
on stage.
Uh,
But Sean Connery played it in a movie, I think.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't remember
It
what it
was
was called. I can't remember the movie was called, but I remember him looking so much like an Arthur that you would imagine. Any closing thoughts, Sindhu? I know I'm so glad. I mean, you've been talking to me now for an hour. I'm sorry, I really kept you chatting away. But would you like to say something before we close to our listeners?
all I can say is if anybody wants any help or advice that they would like, they can always maybe get my contact details from the British Council from you and contact me because I'm always willing to help as long as uh, I'm able to and can give constructive uh,
Feedback.
yeah.
Yes, you've always been very generous into and helped. I think there are like generations of school children who have been in your production. And I hope that you will keep up that work because that's really important because theater brings another whole dimension. It's like playing a sport, like you said, it brings a
Yeah,
whole another dimension to your life. And thank you, Indu. It has been such a pleasure. Thank you
yeah.
so much.
And
And thank
thank you for asking me to come and chat with you. It was nice chatting with you because I hardly see you all these days.
we hardly see anybody these days.
Yes, I think that's the thing. Anyway, let's hope everything is going to be back
Let's
to,
go.
yeah,
Well, let's hope. Let's hope.
not the new normal, but the old normal.
A new world, a brave new world.
Yeah.
Thank you, Indu. And thank you to Sangwada also for all her
Well,
support.
let's call her. Sam, come here for a minute. She must be
And
thinking that she has done something wrong.
we
Sam,
want to thank you
say
from the
bye.
British Council for all your support and for helping us put this production together. Thank you very much, Sam, because I know Indu is, with all the computer degrees, Indu is still, not tech savvy.
We love him still, so it's all good.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you, Shamil, and thank you to the British Council Library team. Thank you, everyone. And it's been such a pleasure. Thank you for tuning in and joining us and asking us questions and helping us with this program. And I'm going to say good night. Good night, Indu, and good night,
Night, and
everyone.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.